Hi Aquarius, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your June 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread, with each card representing a different house of the zodiac, starting with your sign, Aquarius, is the first house, all the way through to Capricorn representing the 12th house. Once we get through that main spread, we'll also pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the main decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the UFO tarot, and for the oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle. But we're actually going to start the reading while I roll those astrology items we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Mercury. So, Mercury is still in Gemini currently, but pretty much right on June 1st, it'll be in Cancer, and then toward the very end of the month, it'll actually start a retrograde. So, basically, like I said, until the 1st, it's going to be in Gemini, which is your 5th house of romance, creativity, children, and then it'll be moving into your 6th house of work, health, and daily routines. Well, we were just speaking of the Cancerian energy, so yeah. Of course, in addition to Mercury being there for a good portion of the month, toward the end of the month, we'll actually have the Sun move into Cancer as well. We have Venus there until the 13th of June. Jupiter is there until pretty much the very end of June. So plenty of energy going on there. We just talked about how this is a 6th house energy for you guys. And we have 11. So 11th house energy for you guys is Sagittarius, and really, I mean, technically it's the 31st of May when it happens, but there is still a full moon in Sagittarius that's coming up. So, maybe this is just saying that you'll be feeling the residual effects of that when we get into June, or if you guys watch this when I first posted, of course, it wouldn't have happened yet. So, could be either of those things, but 11th house in general points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For your 1st house energy, which points to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Knight of Cups. So yeah, so seeing this here could just be saying that maybe you'll be a little bit more creative with your appearance this month, right? Maybe you'll be feeling a little bit more confident around how you look as well. So could be trying to get yourselves out a little bit more due to that fact. And this could just be saying that maybe with the way you present yourselves in general, too, you might be a little bit more lighthearted, right? Maybe more flirtatious in ways, but definitely good energy overall. Nothing too heavy, at least. And for your 2nd house energy, which points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Knight of Wands. So yeah, so this could just be saying that when it comes to your finances, maybe you're going to feel like you have a creative spark this month. Maybe you'll be trying to take on multiple things at once because of that as well, right? So you could just feel like, all right, wow, these ideas are fresh in my head. Let me try to get them off the ground. But either way, it looks like this is saying you have the energy to get those things off the ground. All right, so for your 3rd house, which generally points to communications, short journeys, and siblings, we have the 3 of Wands. So this is an Aries energy, which technically is the energy that represents your house of communication. And to see this could just be saying that maybe you might feel a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to communication this month, right? So maybe people that you've been waiting to hear from, maybe they all come back around the same time to where it's a little bit overwhelming, and you're like, okay, like I did want to hear from these people, right? I did want to get some communication going, but you might just feel a little bit overwhelmed at times as well. All right, for your 4th house, which points to home, roots, and family, we have the Page of Pentacles. So yeah, so this could just be saying, well, of course, if we just take the artwork at face value, and given that it's about family stuff, could just be saying that, you might be looking at some skeletons in your closet this month, right? Maybe some things that you thought were behind you, maybe they might come back up to the surface for whatever reason for you to look at again. But either way, I feel like this is saying that you could be putting some outdated things behind you as well, which is more of a positive, right? All right, so for your fifth house, we have the Queen of Cups. And fifth house in general points to romance, creativity, children to a lesser extent too. So yeah, so to see this energy here, could just be saying that you might have a bit more of an emotional approach to those kinds of things, right? So maybe if there's a creative project that you're getting off the ground, you might have this emotional attachment to it, right? Which is sometimes a good thing when it comes to creative projects, right? If you feel that connection to it, it's likely to resonate with people more deeply. And same thing when it comes to this is more of a casual thing as far as dating goes, right? Maybe this is just saying that you'll make stronger emotional connections with people in that area of life this month too. All right, so for your sixth house, which, like we said, that came up with the dice too, we have the King of Cups. So that's technically a Scorpio energy, and Scorpio is actually your 10th house ruler, which is also tied to work. It's more career and social status, but seeing this here could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you'll be elevated somewhat when it comes to your work lives. Maybe you'll be more independent as well, because that's another way that could play out where it could just be saying, yeah, maybe on the one hand, you're being elevated within the workplace, or just more of you're able to do your own thing, right? So to where you're not going to be necessarily micromanaged, right? You have your own space to do what you need to do. All right, so for the seventh house energy, which points generally to partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the King of Wands. So this is actually Leo energy here, which is the natural ruler of your seventh house. So to see this here, it could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you'll be looking at options when it comes to their area of life, right? It could just be saying that, maybe it was something that you didn't give too much thought to in the past, but now you might actually have a little bit more interest in putting energy toward that. And that could just be as simple as the fact that we'll be having Jupiter moving into Leo right at the very end of June. All right, so for your eighth house, which in general points to death, rebirth, investments, and intimacy, we have the Six of Swords. So this is actually an Aquarius energy here. So to see this here, it could just be saying that maybe things are stabilizing for you guys. So if it is around investments, right, maybe the investments have been going up and down all over the place, and now they're starting to at least stabilize somewhat to where you feel like, okay, there's a little bit more predictability there. Or for others of you, if this is around one of the other areas that we spoke about that the eighth house represents, like intimacy, right? It could just be saying that maybe there's some energy settling there, right? Where if it was maybe a little bit harder to get things off the ground with that, now it feels like you're able to put more energy toward that too. All right, so for your ninth house energy, which generally points to philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs, we have the 10 of Cups. So yeah, so seeing this here could just be saying that when it comes to your beliefs, for example, maybe you're getting some level of vindication, right? So maybe, for example, if there's something that you believed for a long time, but people around you seem to have their doubts, now might be one of those things where more information comes out that seems to support that the fact that you were right all along, right? So it could just be one of those things where you get some joy out of that, right? To where you might feel a little bit vindicated, like, okay, these people doubted me all this time, but now that they're seeing it play out in reality, like I said it would, now they can't deny it any longer, so that could give you comfort as far as that goes. For your 10th house energy, which generally points to career and social status, we have the 9 of Cups. So, seeing this here could just be saying that, you might feel like you have a very unique perspective when it comes to your work lives, right? Now, it looks like you might capture people's attention for that reason, right? They might actually be willing to hear you out. So at least it's not one of those things where, they're not just going to be immediately dismissive of you because you have a different viewpoint than the rest of the people. But I feel like this is saying that, you might still feel a little bit isolated in that regard, like you're the only one who holds the viewpoint, but it looks like you will at least have people open to hearing you out this month. All Alright, so for your 11th house energy, which points primarily to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So what I'm getting from this could just be saying that the people you interact with this month, maybe they'll actually help you build some skills, right? So, they could just be, if there's something that you had a curiosity in and it's something that they're actually more familiar with and they do have more experience with, they might just be showing you the ropes, basically, and ultimately with the goal of you being able to do it for yourself, but at least initially they might give you that initial nudge, right, to show you how it all works, and then that could be the spark you need to get things off the ground. And for your 12th house energy, we have the Five of Pentacles. So yeah, seeing this here could just be saying that you might feel like even if things are starting to go in a more positive sense, there might be this inner fear that you might have that it could all slip away, right? So I don't think that's going to be as easily detectable to people on the outside looking in, but I feel like it is something that's going to bother you from time to time. And I feel like you'll try to eventually shake it off. And for some of you, I feel like this could be tied into 4th house energy, right? So maybe that's a belief that was ingrained in you from early childhood, right? And it's one of those things where, like, okay, I know now where I am now that the reality doesn't really align with that belief. But obviously, if it's something that you held for so long, it could be harder to shake it off. So that could be what's happening for some of you there. All right, so for the bottom of the deck, we have Justice. So this is Libra energy here. So yeah, I feel like this is at least a good indicator that says to me that whatever actions you're taking, it looks like karmically, at least you do have some protection there. And of course, that's a two-sided thing as far as it's like, well, if someone were to try to get the upper hand on you in a less than ethical way, it would backfire on them. But flip side of that also would be same energy would apply for you, right? So if you were to try to approach something in an underhanded manner, it could backfire in that regard karmically too. So that's what I see with that. But lastly, we'll pull a card from the Wisdom Oracle deck. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, we'll take this card, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have chop wood. There's the artwork, and the number is 42. So we'll see what this has to say, but it sounds like, just more of a low key, just stick to your work kind of dynamic, but we'll see what it mentions in the book. All right, essential meanings says being grounded in everyday experience, humility. The Oracle's message. There are times when the big dream is meant to lie dormant in your consciousness so that you can pay attention to the simple chores in your life. Consider why pruning a tree is the forerunner to delighting in its beautiful blooms when it is in full blossom. The mundane act of pulling off dead leaves, watering the soil, and then leaving it be to let nature take its course is an important step in manifestation. Taking your attention away from your goal brings you into a state of receptivity. This is the deeper purpose for releasing attachment. When you engage in everyday tasks in a meditative, contemplative way, you clear your energy to receive your aha moments, which brings you ever closer to what you seek. So definitely an interesting message there, because to me, seeing that Knight of Cups energy in the first house, to me, says you will be taking a bit more of that energy naturally this month. So it seems to align pretty well there. The relationship message says nothing is as important right now as just doing what you need to do day to day. Let your heart remember that not everything has to be hard won, passionate, or even obviously meaningful. Relationships and friendships go through lulls when the everyday tasks are at the center of awareness. This is perfect now. Hold hands, wash dishes, make a fire, read a book, share a meal, say nothing, stare into space, pick up socks, tell a dumb joke, and leave space to breathe. The work of your relationship right now is very simple, just to be present. Funny how it takes work to just be. All is well, really. So that's a positive message there, right? As far as if you were maybe feeling a little bit pressured around that area of life, feeling like you had to give more energy to it than it looks like you really would in reality. All right. And the prosperity message says now is the time to take small steps rather than larger leaps on the journey to creating your most prosperous life. Move your focus off your big dream and attend to the mundane chores. Focus on the little things that may have piled up while you've been mapping out the greater plan for the life you aspire to see manifest into reality. Chop wood, carry water, as the Zen proverb advises, or wash dishes, walk the dog. While you're doing all that, Spirit will have a chance to move mountains and set wondrous miracles in motion for you. Remain humble and aware of the present. So yeah, definitely an interesting message there as well, as far as, maybe not overexerting yourself, and just letting things unfold a little bit more organically. But hope it resonated for you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.